beautiful and beautifully overwhelming, even. So I just want to first say I see you, Dylan, Alex, Alyssa, Michael Richardson, Elizabeth, Alora, Akugbe. I hope I'm saying that right. Kirkland, Danielle, Chella, Alice. Yes. Can't. Someone has removed their name. That's fine. Tiffany, Irene, Boyoung, Vivian, Emily, Sage. I see you. Let's do something together, right? On three, mirror me. Good. Ah, nice. Okay, beautiful. Good. You know, sometimes people don't want to participate. I couldn't see all of you, but sometimes people don't want to participate. Seems juvenile, right? But no, no, it's not. It's not. It's a call. It's a call. Remember, we're in a business that we are constantly trying to convert. It's like faith, constantly trying to have people come into something, believe in something, come to the concert. Don't just come to our concert, be part of it. That's the messaging. Look at any orchestra. That's the messaging. Let me put it another way. Is there any orchestra in this country that says, no, no, we have enough audience members. We have enough people coming to our shows? No, right? So the process of getting the League of American Orchestras to write a statement, commit to a statement in writing that is an apology for systemic racism in the American culture of the orchestral experience took 5 years. You're just, look how beautiful you are. You're just doing whatever I'm doing. And there are some gestures that are loaded, right? Some gestures I won't even do. There's one in particular, clearly anti Semitic. Now you're thinking about it. Right. You know, this has meaning. This has meaning. This has meaning. This has meaning. One finger in the air, my son knows, has meaning. A certain finger in the air. You should think about what gesture represents you right now. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge to the of the United States of and to the for which it one under indivisible with and for. You know, my understanding of the Pledge of Allegiance, America, was that it was written by a socialist minister named Francis Bellamy in 1882, published in the Youth's Companion. This socialist minister had hoped that the pledge would be used for citizens in any country. This is what the original Pledge of Allegiance said. This is what it was. I pledge allegiance to my flag and the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That's all it was. That's fact. That's fact. If you had to compose a Pledge of Allegiance, what words would you choose? what would it say? You know? And I think in so many ways that statement in which I'm working with board members who 5 years ago would have nothing of it. We have to tell the truth. We have to acknowledge, we have to account, we have to apologize, then there can be action. 5 years ago, when you're getting a board of about 40 people to believe in something, to follow you, right? That's the business we're in. We're in the business of following. You're a maestro, even the words that we use, maestro, master Kim, right? We're in the business of following. What would it take 5 years just to get to the facts of there were so many BIPOC musicians who were not only told they couldn't be in an orchestra, they weren't allowed in the building. Life, the body, no worth. And of course, it's still continuing today. So I would just say to you, as I look at you and your names and your ambition, Kirkland, Danielle, Levanti, right? And that smile now, right? You know, that I think you can challenge. If you see yourself as a student at Cornell, that is all you are. I don't. I see you as artists. I see you as contributors. I see you as someone who can challenge. What is it called now? Good trouble? I see the music director maybe as a means of distribution. I see an orchestra rehearsal not as a rehearsal. What's a different word? What's a different word? Can they fill in the chat? Is everybody allowed to do that? Good. Let's do it right now. Let's start to massage. Sorry, I know we're having a conversation, Chris. Just give me 1.5 minutes because this is important. I want you to exercise your imagination muscle. This is a place of captivity and creation, y'all, and creation. So 1 minute. Substitute the word rehearsal because words have meaning. I'm old enough to have been called a composer, an Afro-American composer, an African-American composer, a black composer, a BIPOC composer. Now I define as a black Haitian-American composer because that flag right over there on that wall, which my son sleeps under every night, he has since the day he was born, that's a Haitian flag. When he travels with me to JFK and he looks up, he says, "Dad, there's our flag." He's right. So think of a different word than rehearsal. Not an orchestra rehearsal. Oh, there we go. An orchestra practice. Okay, I'll take it. Sure. An orchestra gathering. Excellent. Oh, a kungbe, an orchestra practice. I'll take it. Elizabeth, an orchestra gathering, a collaboration, creation, meeting, congregation, fellowship, brainstorming, conversation, connection. Yes, go further than that. What's the word? Not an orchestra rehearsal, but an orchestra what? That's interesting to me. That's what you can do. You can challenge. Why aren't you? Why aren't you? Even in this space, you can challenge the ideas that are in front of you. A part on a music stand in front of you is just someone else's idea. You can challenge it. Right? But let's stop there because I'm already getting to something that I know is controversial, but hey, that's who I am, and that's where we are right now, I think. Okay, you got me loaded now, Chris. I'm in church. 5:26. I'm trying not to go in church, but I'm in church. Look at Dylan's smile. Dylan, you could change the word with that. So I see Okugbe shaking his head. Yes, I feel you. I hope I'm not mispronouncing your name. We should hear you say it. Can you say it? Can you unmute real quick so we can hear you say it?
Oh, Akube. Akube Imudia.
Akube. And what's the last word? Last name?
Oh, Imudia.
Oh, Akube Umudia. So, I mean, that's right. That's a whole symphony, man. It's a whole symphony. Okay, yes, Chris, I'm here. Sorry, I'll give shorter answers. That's a lot.
Now, so the spaces that we travel, right? Musically, physically. Can you speak to us about your time as you went through your professional life? The people whose lights were on, in a way, right? So not the people who have their blinders on, not the people who have closed out the possibility of connecting with somebody that's different. What were some situations where you met somebody and that light was on, that door was open? It was a how was it that somebody who's different was able to talk to you, and then you were able to say, this person has an open mind?
Oh, how was it? I'm sorry. How was it that I was able to say this person has an open mind?
No, so when you encounter a person, because we all encounter closed off people, but then
Yeah.
once in a while we encounter those people who are open. What are the qualities that make such a person able to exist in our society that's mainly separate, siloed paths?
Oof. What are the qualities that are, well, I know what you're saying. Well, let me try to maybe answer it from an honest way. I assume goodness. I assume the goodness in another person. I assume that a person is loving and has the capacity for love. Now, what happens is, oftentimes, I think for all of us, we then have a conversation. We get into a conversation, or something happens for me. Sorry, let me speak for myself. Something happens for me, and that begins to change, right? Let me give you a quick example. So Zach, there's Zach Buttrick. Nice to see you. Now behind Zach, it looks to me like it's Skull and Bones. It says Willie T, right? I don't know anything about it. I don't know who he is, Willie T maybe. But what I'm saying is, if I don't see Willie T, Zach looks like, I have a son named Zachary. Zach, you could be my son. He's biracial. I have people in my family that look just like you, same hair. My son is about your complexion when it's wintertime around here, right? But that's Skull and Bones, not knowing what Willie T is. I'm already feeling like, wait a minute now, is Zach a threat? Is Willie T code for something? And let me just be honest in this moment. Okay, I see Willie T. Is that Boogaloo Boys? Does he love Trump? Does he believe in the things that want to make me feel uncomfortable? And I want to give you a chance to respond, because I'm just basing this all on Skull and Bones framed in your shot, and I know nothing about you. In fact, if Willie T was in Akube's screen, it would mean something different. That's where we are. But what is it? What is Willie T? Help me understand.
Oh, so it's actually my roommates, and
Oh,
and I
okay.
didn't know, and I actually didn't know. I just quickly looked it up. It says the British Virgin Islands on the bottom. Yeah, it's a
Huh?
restaurant.
It's a restaurant. Okay. Now, right there, see what just happened? That's where we are. All of you. A tuxedo is a threat. There's only 2 times in American culture where people wear all black. And the second time is an orchestra concert. You dig? Maybe not understanding. The first time is a funeral. You see what I'm saying? So Willie T to me, I know it's his roommates. This is what happens all the time. Yesterday I had a full beard. All day today, some people are not even recognizing me. Without the beard, well, you don't know me, but I used to have hair down to my knees. And if the beard was big enough, and then the earrings and the painted fingernails, you saw me a certain way. So Zach, you see what's happening? It's your roommates. But that's the association I'm making. And if I said, peace be with you, some of you are saying it right. The good Catholics in the house. Culture are shared experiences. The problem is identifying our shared experiences, right? And without getting into politics, that's the differences between us. Look at Zach and look at me, right? Or maybe look at Yawen Ding. I'm so sorry. Look at Yawen Ding and look at me. The differences are obvious. The things we share in common, that's where the art lies. Now that's aspirational. How quickly can we get there? How quickly can we get there? So I would answer your question that way. Yeah. I said a lot. I mean, a tuxedo is a threat. But, right, you know what I'm getting at? I'm getting at the formality of it, right? Yeah. Let me add this. If I let me say this in 1 minute, maybe answer it just to extend the question. If I were a Cornell student right now in 2020, everything is on the table towards change. I would immediately become an artist activist. That means the orchestral experience. I want to say to my, and I'm sorry, Professor Kim, I hope I'm not impinging on your brand of or how you teach, but I'm going into that place. Zach, I'm you. Okay, Zach, I'm you. How old are you, Zach?
18, sir.
Oh, I'm Daniel. It's okay. And you're, what year? Are you freshman, sophomore?
Yep, freshman.
Freshman. Okay, I'm a freshman. I'm Zach. I'm 18. I'm a good person, and I'm going to write this down. I'm going to bring this to Professor Kim. First year. Professor Kim, here are the composers I would like to play. I really like Drake. We should be doing Drake. You know, I really, really like Chance the Rapper. Can we do some Chance the Rapper? I'll arrange it or find somebody. I don't want to wear tuxedos anymore. Hey, can we hire lighting designers for our show? I want to amplify. Let's amplify. Can we change the way we sit when we go back? Can we change the way we sit on the stage? Matter of fact, let's not wait till we go back to the stage. Can we find a stadium? Can we find somewhere to be spread out? And for those who volunteer, get our teachers' permission, parents' permission, do all the things that are right and just because we're all involved in a public health crisis. Racism is a public health crisis. The pandemic is a public health crisis. It is unifying. It is one thing. It is one thing, a public health crisis. You are the vaccine. There's a vaccine for COVID-19 coming. For everything else, you are the vaccine. Hey, can we do something in public? Can we have an orchestra of 12 people, but we have different rounds? So we keep doing a program that is 15 minutes long outside, and we keep doing different rounds. Can our repertoire be 75% BIPOC? 75% for the next 10 years. All right, so that's what, when I was 18, nobody was talking to me that way. But that's why I'm gonna say this to you. You can ask. You can ask. You can challenge. You can provoke. I would call it a loving war, a good fight. Okay, sorry. I'm gonna give shorter answers. I'm so sorry. You got me, Chris. You got me. I'm here.
So let me respond to that. And I think those of us who are in academia, as professors like me, we are very set in our old practice, right? So
sure.
Without challenge, without provocation from students, without a nudge and a push, we will stay still. And that's the tendency of the old guard, right? 4 years ago, Christy Custer, composer at Michigan, pointed out this statistics done by the Baltimore Symphony. 1.5% of compositions played by the top 50 American orchestras were by women composers. So she sent out a challenge on Twitter and said, okay, are we living in the 18th century? Why is this still happening? And I looked around and I realized, to my horror, my unbudging old ways had relied on the repertoire that I studied and I was taught, which was mainly men, white, from Western Europe. And I realized at that point, 13 years of teaching at Cornell, I had done about 6 women composers, but that was it. Everything else was completely white, Western. And so I made it a challenge. Okay, I'm gonna go find pieces to champion. So we had a season of Ear of the Women, and we did pieces by living composers, by dead composers, but I try to have every concert have a women composer included. I failed, but the effort was made. And through that effort, what I learned was, without being nudged, without being challenged, I'll go to what I know, because that's the easiest, right? I'll think about what the orchestra needs. I'll think about, okay, now this year we have this level of horns, and now we have really great violas. And so the metrics that I'm thinking about did not include whether I was being representative in terms of diversity. I was only thinking about the pieces that I already knew and sort of fitting in. Well, I have this level of group. What piece would give them a great musical experience? Without any thought to whether the composers I'm representing included African American composers, white composers, Asian composers, women composers. So that was the status quo of how musicians were thinking, I think, pretty much until this summer. And I think most would say, I'm not being racist by doing that. I'm just doing what I know. And so this summer, I was having a conversation with Tim Weiss, who's the director of contemporary ensembles at Oberlin. And Oberlin students petitioned the two conductors, Tim Weiss and the orchestra conductor, you need to do more diverse programming. So the entire body at Oberlin signed the petition. So two of them went back to the drawing board and threw out the repertoire that they had planned, and they're redrawing the season. But also, Tim threw down the challenge to the students. All right, we're gonna make a change. You're right, but I also wanna see on your senior recital, junior recital, pieces by BIPOC composers and women composers. And then the applied faculty said, no, because they have to make a graduate audition tape for their graduate schools or for their professional auditions. So they have to know their Brahms and Beethovens and Bachs. And Tim said, no, you can't have it both ways. You have to make, if you're gonna demand it of us, then we're gonna demand it of you. And so they're having this wonderful conversation, and lots of people are angry because they need to change the way they teach. They need to think about, get out of their rut of how they usually do things, right? So a violin teacher who's relied on these, 12 pieces to, teach as a student reach those levels, never thought about diverse programming. When you challenge and push and nudge academic faculty you need to move out of that comfort zone. The initial reaction is, no, this is not the way we do things. Right. So pushback is you're going to encounter that. That's what that line from Planet of the Apes mean. Don't trust anybody over 30, because we are all so used to this rut of thinking about issues, and we don't have the imagination to think larger because we go to our comfort zone of what we know. So Daniel is absolutely right. Zach, you need to challenge me. You need to challenge every professor you come across at Cornell, because they are so set in their way. If you don't, they will only give you what is comfortable to them.
Wow. That was a moment, y'all. Wow. That's a gift right there. I mean, wow. Are we recording this? Yeah. Ooh. I see Kira Watts. Kira, what are you thinking?
I thought that was really beautiful.
What was beautiful about it?
I don't know. I felt it. It was powerful.
If you did know, what was powerful about it? I agree. It's beautiful and powerful. What was beautiful and powerful about it?
He was talking about something that I don't think is talked about enough. A lot of the times I think as students, it might be a power thing, but we're not really told to challenge people who are in places above us. You learn from people who are above you. You don't challenge them. So I just think that's really cool to be told to challenge someone above us by someone above us.
I think that was really cool too. I think it's a wonderful opportunity. If I know things seem dire at the board, it is. I'm not gonna. The notion that I've heard this when I was 18. Kira, how old are you? I know it's not polite to ask anybody their age, but
I'm 17.
You're so. Oh God, jeez. Ooh. Okay. What year were you born? What year were you born? What year were you born? Yeah.
2003.
2003. Wow. I like to say to Chris, you see how old we are, man? 2003. Lord have mercy, y'all. Okay. I'm 49. See that? 49, y'all. All right. I know that when I was 17, everyone around me said, well, life is going to get better. Life will get better. Life can get better. I don't know if that's true. For me, 40 years later, 49 years later, I know that life didn't get better. I got better at how I respond to life. I think life can get better if you can get better at handling life and acquiring a multitude of skill sets. You understand the difference? I would caution you. I think life is life. I think life happens. Life unfolds. There's no directing it. How you navigate within the water of life will literally depend on how you swim, who you swim with, the skill set you bring to your swimming and navigation. There's a big difference here. It's not subtle at all. This wonderful provocation, this challenge. You know, at the league, things are dire. We have orchestras folding. There's this notion of we got to focus on this. We got to focus on just surviving. We can't talk about social justice and equity and all these things. Look, y'all, it's actually very clear and simple. You are always going to have to not only manage your personal morale and your wellness and your health and keep yourself full and rich and positive, you are also going to have to look at everything with suspicion, everything with opportunity. Substitute the word problem with opportunity. That's your role, that's your job, that's your obligation as an artist. Yes, we have people dying every day. In this conversation, just miles from each of you, someone is taking their last breath. Let's take a breath right now. Again, exposition. Development. Recapitulation. Someone is doing that for the last time. We are privileged to be here. Your obligation is to say, I am not relegated to my status as a student. I have an opportunity to look at everything that I am asked to participate in as a contributor. Forget teacher, student, second violin. I'm a contributor. I can actually contribute to the culture of Cornell. I can write these things down. I can take their credo. I can take their pledge and substitute my words and my perspective. I can do it respectfully. I can do it because when I get out into the so-called real world of post-academia, that is exactly what you're going to do. In fact, if I'm a student right now and all I'm doing is complaining and saying this is wrong, this is wrong, this is all that you're doing, that's only half of it. Because the other half, and it's important, but the other half of it is saying this is what should be done. Thy will be done. This is what should be done. Okay, don't wait till the end to do a course evaluation on something that you went 15 weeks through and didn't like a day of it. On the first day, if something isn't what you want, on the second day, say what it is and then be the solution. Propose the solution. Change it all. Not a class. Because that's exactly what's going to happen when you graduate. You think you're going to graduate and just go into a world where everything is what you want it to be? No. It's the opposite of that. You're being told everything. Here's the syllabus. Here's your course grade. Here's how many credit hours. You know what's going to happen when you graduate? Nothing. You're going to be thrown into the water. Good luck. Bill T. Jones quotes someone, I can't remember, the great dancer choreographer. If you really want to know someone, spit cold milk in their face and see their reaction. That's what I'm feeling like right now. Now, I've said it. So, what do? Well, it's not a problem. I have no idea what orchestra, nobody knows what orchestra's culture, what an orchestra concert is going to look like this time next year. Who knows? Propose it. We just did something beautiful together. Everybody said, well, you can't make music on Zoom. Really? Find a way. Propose it. I have 5 ideas right now, which I'll talk about later, right? But what I'm getting at is this constant, you need to be a constant well of ideas and activity. And if you can't personally be, because there are cultural differences, there are ways that all of us have grown up, which maybe you're not empowered to do that. You don't want to speak or understand, or as Edwidge Danticat, the great Haitian writer, says, sometimes creating means creating dangerously. Some of you come from countries where if you say too much too often, you die. Haiti is one of them. There's a privilege to speaking out. That said, there's a responsibility and an opportunity for you to be the steward of your career right now. Okay, shorter answers. I promise. I'm going to put a time limit on myself, y'all. Sorry. I love hearing from you, too. I hope that's okay, Chris. I'm just calling people out because I can feel their energy.
Absolutely. I don't want to be the ones keep asking questions. I want our students to
Oh, wonderful.
feel comfortable to ask and challenge. So I'm not going to ask the next question.
Yeah. And you can put them in the chat. If you don't want to say it, put it in the chat, please.
Yeah.
And by the way, you should always have a question. You should always have a comment. Okay? See what I'm doing? You should always have a question. You should always have a comment. Our time here is precious. Elizabeth Finkel. Our time is precious. Alora Robeck. Our time is precious. You should have a question. You should have a comment. I'm speaking directly to you. Chella, what's your question? Take some time, put it in the chat, right? I want to be excruciatingly relevant to y'all. Excruciatingly relevant. Where is he? The one, Richardson. He did this where? Where'd he go? He had my attention. Was it Michael? There he is. Michael Richardson. Something about your energy, right? What's your question? What's your comment? Put it in the chat. I see it, you know. When you smile, you change the world, y'all. When you smile, that's such an important skill. When you smile, you change the world. It lets me know everything's going to be all right. Even now, some of you aren't even smiling. Okay. Smile. We're alive. Everything is possible. Okay. I need to eat. I've been intermittent fasting too much today. You got me. All right, questions. Oh, we got questions in the chat now. One, I want more. Come on, y'all. Hustle. This is work. This is work. Put your questions in there. There should be 10, 20. Something that came up this summer was the idea of eliminating blind auditions. What is your opinion of this topic? Woo! What do you think, Chris? You know how I feel.
So, I mean, I haven't done blind auditions in our Cornell Orchestra setting, but I think, Aria, if I'm reading that correctly, you're talking about the professional world, correct?
Yeah, I'm talking about the New York Phil specifically.
Nice.
And the New York Times had an op-ed this summer that suggested that.
Yes. Well, Anthony Tomasini. Respectfully, it wasn't it was a little more than a suggestion. He was kind of adamant. This is something that was pent up over years, and he took you through why he felt blind auditions were inequitable. But you're absolutely right. It was a series of op-eds that Zachary Wolf, Anthony Tomasini, and others. But it was Tomasini, I believe, who came out with that particular article, which, as you can imagine, kind of was a tidal wave through the professional orchestral world. Okay, so I am not an advocate for blind auditions. I think the entire auditioning process is inequitable, unfair. Name another job where you apply in a blind audition. You know, it doesn't really work that way, right? Particularly something that's so precious as playing in an orchestra. But I would say this, the playing field is inequitable. Right, you have to understand. I read briefly what you put up, the kind of BIPOC or unity statement, which is very important. I want to be able to read it. But you know, you have to look at it this way. America was founded in the notion of one race enslaving another, one race colonizing another, one race taking things, raping another, imprisoning another, right? Kidnapping another, taking their land, taking their resources. This is fact, acknowledgement, right? So everything, every system in America is a subsystem of that predominant one. That is white supremacy, male-centered white supremacy. You have to understand, when I say racism, that's not malice, right? This is the teachings of, you name it, White Fragility, D'Angelo, Kendi, Abraham, Henry Louis Gates Jr., The Signifying Monkey, Cornell West, Michelle Alexander, the 13. I mean, there's so many examples of, I don't want to have this conversation where I'm explaining this to you, other than to say we have to stop looking at racism or even the word anti-racism or racism or systemic racism as malice. We are all affected by it. It is a kind of pandemic that is rooted, it goes well beyond the forming of this country, right? So you have a system that is unjust and unfair and horrific. It is horrific. That has led to every other system. So the orchestral system, to be fair, is systemically racist because it is participating in a culture and a country that is systemically racist. The only way to meet systemic racism is with a systemic anti-racism. That means not a festival or a program or a piece of something that is BIPOC or addressing also sexual, how we define sexually, how people who are handicapped. There's so many people that are marginalized. You have to create a system of equity, an entire system. So for me, blind auditions is just one small part of something that is unfair, right? So let me put it another way. I have been and I have participated. I've seen my music played by orchestras. A lot of my music incorporates hip hop rhythms. I have seen many professional orchestral musicians, the string sections in particular, I'm a violinist, who can't play the music. They just can't. Right? To put it another way, because you have 1.8%, and that's an uptick, of black musicians in our orchestral systems, that means close to 99 or 98% of the white musicians in these orchestras benefited. They benefited from a smaller pool, right? So for me, blind auditions don't speak to the social inequity. As the article mentioned in terms of private lessons, the financial inequity, the mental health inequity, the emotional inequity. The blind auditions actually amplifies the inequity, right? So that's the problem. The problem is I see the entire audition system as flawed. What's the solution? Well, let me just speak to one. The reason why I would insist let me give three things how I would have an audition. It would be every year musicians would audition. Everyone. Right? Because you have a whole pool of musicians of color ready to go, who I am sure would win. I'm not a particularly good violinist, but I sure as hell would audition. I might win. Right? You see what I'm saying? I'm looking at some of you here who are probably damn good violinists. Probably better than some of the I want to give you a name. The Cincinnati Symphony. This is what Chris is talking about. I'll give you a name. The Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra did not play my piece very well. They couldn't. And their union rules, I couldn't even talk to musicians. I couldn't even talk to the musicians. Okay? They don't know those rhythms. They just don't. I'm looking at the entire back of the second violin section. Couldn't do it. Fact. Okay? So I want every one of them to audition every year. And by the way, we're going to put in term limits. You are not going to play in an orchestra for the rest of your life. Ridiculous. Music directors have term limits. The president has a term limit. What is this notion of you get a job and you're going to have it for the rest of your life, even if you can't play? Which, by the way, you know how hard it is to play the violin or any instrument when you're 60 or 70 years old? You want to call that ageism? Okay, fine. You're going to audition then. And we're going to do it publicly. And so one is we're going to audition every year. Two, no blind. We're going to do it publicly. And you want to know the third thing we're going to do? We're going to actually have a conversation. You dig? The conversation is going to tell us who you are. Let me just go to church for 30 seconds because you got to understand, people. There are people in orchestras, black and white and all in between, who like it the way it is. They don't give a damn. I don't know anything about you. How do I say your name? You just asked the question. Aria, what do you play?
I play the bassoon.
Bassoon, great. We need you to be in a professional orchestra. All right? If I were you, I would know the name and the phone number and the email address of every bassoon player of every major orchestra who was a bassoonist of color. I love that, by the way. You understand what I just said? Talk to them. Understand that how hard it was for them to get their job. Every time they go to music, they're sitting in a pool. Can you imagine? Nobody looks like them. Nobody's saying the same things. Nobody understands it. Let's have a conversation, man. Right? Because in the conversation, we're going to know who you are, and who you are is how you play. You dig it? Who you are is how you play. And in that conversation, I guarantee you, some of these musicians would say the worst possible things, the most unempathetic things, the most racist, sorry, I have to use the word, the most racist fucking things you've ever heard in your life, man. And they're the ones who are getting $100,000 a year, health care, everything. And people that look like me and you still get nothing. You want to return to that? I'm not. So I'm going to find them one by one. And that's why we're not going to have, why have a blind audition? I want an audition where I can see you. I want a sight audition. I want a sound audition. I want to hear what you have to say. You dig? Would you ever hire a president of a university? You couldn't see them. You couldn't really hear what they have to say. Think about it. If you had a child and that child needed surgery, would you have a blind audition and just watch them do surgery? Apply it. How ridiculous is that? I guarantee you, if your life depended on it, you'd want to talk to that surgeon. You'd want to talk to that music director. You'd want to talk to that second violinist, $100,000 a year. Okay, I am so sorry, Chris.
Wait, sorry, I just wanted to ask.
I don't know what happened, man. Simple question.
So
Okay.
we got lots of questions in the chat.
Hold on. Okay, we're going to get to them all.
Let's do this. Let's try to go through the chat rather than raise hand and sort of, because I think so next is Yawen. I think this, yes, the Orchestra Racist Instagram account. Everybody should take a look at that because it's actual fact stories of the incidents of racism happening. So everybody check that out. Elora, what do you suggest for creating changes in areas lacking in diversity, open-mindedness, for example, K through 12 schools?
Oh, wait, where are you? You're in the chat now, right?
The chat, yeah.
Oh, okay. So, okay, I'll follow the chat. So, yeah. Oh, have you heard of the Instagram accounts, Orchestra Racist, Composing is Racist? Yes, I have. I think they're important. I'll give much shorter answers. These are testimony, witness. These are accounts. Many of the accounts are done anonymously. I think they're important. Keep them coming. I think that if you have a story, you should contribute. I think you should read them. It's all acknowledgement. Remember that first thing I talked about? So I think that these Instagram accounts are brilliant. They're important. They need to be even more public, more vocal. If you're a composer, let's start setting them to music. Let's have the conversation going. And we need to name names. I'm not trying to be like a judge or a jury. I'm just saying you need to name names. So what I'm saying, what I just said about the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra, I didn't even tell you everything that happened there, right? It was a horrible situation for me as a black composer. Horrible, okay? But those Instagram accounts are very important, yes. Now you were saying, Alora, yeah, oh yes, okay, I see, Chris. Okay, what do you suggest for creating change in areas lacking in diversity, open-mindedness? For example, K through 12 schools. Okay, here's a really good way. It's all about scale. If you want to address every K through 12 school in this country, yes, we need you to. That would be incredible, effective, and it might take a lot, it might have a severe toll for your young academic lives. Scale. I would say focus on your K through 12 school that you went to, or the one that is in Ithaca, right? Or some of you, everybody's everywhere now. Pick one school. Become that person. Become the equity ambassador for that school. Pick one teacher in one class, right? Scale. Go online. My son's going to be online more than he's going to be in the school on campus. So go back. If everybody on this chat went back to their kindergarten or K through 5 or K through 12 school, pick one teacher and wanted to partner with them. Just play for that class. Be a partner with that teacher, right? Whatever it is. That's what I would suggest for creating change in areas lacking diversity, open-mindedness. Think about scale, and then think about what you want to say or do, right? I don't want to call anybody out, but I'm looking at you. There's wonderful diversity on its surface from what I can see in this chat room. So that would be great. You're a Cornell, is it Cornell Symphony Orchestra, CSO? Oh, look at that, serendipity. You're the CSO. I want to work with y'all. Look at that. I wasn't even thinking that, Chris. Woo! So you're the CSO I want to work with. Here's a challenge for you. Let's see if anybody picks it up. I'm easy to find. If you go back to one of your K through 12 schools and wants to do something that you feel there's a need, I'll show up. All right? You can get in touch with me. You don't need Maestro Kim. I'm easy to find. Find me. I'll go there right with you. Let's talk about it, man. Right? You ever talk to somebody who's 5 years old about music? Do you know how to do that? Let's talk about that. Danielle! Good morning. I don't need a microphone. I'm here. I know what you're saying. I'm here. Good morning. How are you? Good to see you. How old are you? 5 years old? How old are you? 6? How old are you? 4? It's good to see you. Woo! It's good to see you. This is my violin. This is my weapon of choice. That's the G string. Say G, everybody. Yeah, this is the E string. Say E, everybody. Yeah, say E. Yeah, this is the G string. Now this is B flat. Oh, B flat, G, B flat, G, B flat. I just need 2 notes. I've got about 50 different pizzicatos. Here's a Bartok one. Here's a funky one. Here's a rock one. Here's a Sol Ponticello one. Here's the phaser. Here's a wild vibrato one. Here's a whispered one. Here's just a left-hand one. I got 50 different pizzicatos, y'all. All right, so you see what I'm doing? So the point is, I'm getting to this notion of 5 pizzicatos. No, I have 50. The violin is mine. It's not the violin, it's my violin. There's a difference. You see, what happens is, I don't see somebody who's 5 years old as not my equal or below me. That's what I would say to them. Everyone in here is a teacher, okay? This is what we're going to do today. You got to imagine you got 55-year-olds in front of you. Okay, hey, everybody in here is a teacher today. Whoa, all right. And the teachers are the students. Whoa, all right. See what I'm getting at? It's not juvenile, y'all. I know my audience. Oh, college students. Hello, very nice to see you. How are you? All right. Again, 1 minute. This is how I play the violin. And we'll talk about what are essentially extended techniques. That my violin, I don't see it as a string instrument. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's a percussion instrument. Sometimes I use it as a vocal instrument. Sometimes I plug it in and it becomes an electronic instrument. My violin is not limited to its own tradition. It's my tradition. Tradition is nothing but an old innovation waiting patiently to be made new again. All right, sorry, we're going to get through these questions. We got 20 minutes. All right, what are your perspectives on playing and studying pieces, with anti-Semitic, racist, misogynistic undertones? How do we go about educating people about this part in music history? Well, Wagner is the easy target. You can see that the Pledge of Allegiance, think about that. Pledge of Allegiance was written by a socialist minister. You understand, for some people in this country, that's a mind-blowing statement. We're focused, and we rightfully so, on kneeling during the national anthem, Colin Kaepernick. But think about it. The original Pledge of Allegiance was something that its intention was for the entire world, not just our country. That's a revelation, right? So, yes, Wagner was anti-Semitic. We have to be able to, and we have to understand and quote him. We say that, but I can't. There are plenty of quotes by him which are bountifully, well, I shouldn't say it that way, which provide evidence, right? You have to have what's called this is called oh, can't think of the word. I'm so sorry. But you have to be able to have the, well, acknowledgement and the accountability. So find the quotes that demonstrate anti-Semitic, racist, misogynistic, not even undertones. Find the language. And again, don't see it as malice or calling someone out. You're in an educational, you're at a prestigious university. You're at an Ivy League school, isn't that right? Cornell, you're an Ivy League school. It's a lot of money, a lot of investment. It's happening, right? So I would say to you, let's not look at this as accusatory. Let's look at this as evidentiary. I don't think I'm using that word right. Let's look at this more as part of research, part of the truth telling that is and should be happening within orchestral and also within music. Rap music has a long history of being anti-gay, anti-lesbian. Absolutely. You have to know this, right? So I think, what are your forget about my perspectives for a second, Cella, I say that respectfully. I would say to you is, we know because of not only America's founding, but other countries' foundings, all throughout North America, Latin America, Europe, Asia, we have major horrors that have been visited upon people. And the music is just a byproduct of some of those horrors, right? So I would say, pick a composer or two, and let's really understand them. Let's tell the truth about them. And the best way to do that is with words. Find the word. Everybody, I don't want to say everybody, but one of the tropes, unfortunately, in classical, not unfortunately, one of the things that we sometimes do is we say things without providing that kind of ample evidence. So let's start with the words that Wagner used. Let's start with the words that some hip-hop artists have used against women, just as evidence. Jazz musicians, and we're all guilty of it, right? Find those words, find those quotes, and then look at what they were writing during that same period. And it's what we can. What do they say? We can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can handle these things simultaneously. Here's why the music is important, not necessarily great, but important. Here's what they were saying. This is the context of it all. All right. Zach, I read one of your interviews where you named Prince, woo, as one of your music role models. Hell yeah. As a diehard 80s fan, see what we share in common? You see how quickly that happened? As a diehard 80s, I'd love to hear more about his influence in your work. Well, listen to his first track that he ever published, For You. Zach probably knows it. It's incredible. I won't give away too much, but it's a vocal exercise. It's some of the best vocal writing and performance that you'll ever hear. It's on par with anything Freddie Mercury did. It's on par with anything that A Room Full of Teeth is doing. And it was done in the 1970s, if I'm not mistaken, early 1970s. It's a vocal exercise. If I was going to teach counterpart, I wouldn't start with Bach. I would start with Prince's first track. That's how powerful it is. And he was a teenager when he did it, 19, maybe 20. But let me answer his influence on my work. Prince did three things that are really important. Not only did he never leave Minneapolis, he kept investing in it. Paisley Park is a good example. Number two, he always thought about the community of artists, not just himself, but whether it's his band, Minneapolis. He was so giving and so charitable. Of course, he wrote a lot of songs for a lot of artists. That's one thing. But he literally gave a lot of money anonymously to a lot of people, and he led by example. Annie DeFranco, do you know Annie? Righteous Babe Records. Her relationship to the city of Buffalo. See, Danielle Levante is shaking her head. You got to understand what Righteous Babe Records meant and means to the city of Buffalo. Philip Glass started not only the Philip Glass Ensemble, but Dunvegan Music Publishers. His relationship to the city of New York. So you can have that too. And then the third thing I would say is that he thought a lot about his future and his legacy and his role and responsibility as an artist, which is connecting to the first two. So you can do that. The more charitable, I've never met a charitable artist who had a whole lot of regret about their charity. Be charitable. Who are you teaching right now? Decenter yourself. Okay, decenter yourself. You may think you have it really bad, and I'm sure some of you do. But as my good Haitian father would often remind me, There are people in the world who will always have it much worse than you. And I think Prince understood that. Okay. Woo, Chris, how am I doing here?
You're doing great.
Okay. Oh, but isn't the audition pay? I love this. Pushback. That's right. Pushback. But isn't the audition based on sound and presence? Yes, but not exclusively. I don't want my son to go see somebody who plays really well, who has a really great sound and a really great presence, and they really think that I should die. Or they really think that if I resist a police officer, that I should die. Resisting a police officer does not mean you should die. That's an easy thing to pick on, but let me just take that down a second. We have to understand that in orchestral music, we have unfortunately made a decision that the most important thing is ... And I'm saying, I just put the Pledge of Allegiance. The most important thing, is it sound? Is it the ability to play with others? For me, hell no. Because the fact of the matter is, the most important thing to me is who you are as a human being. Are you a good person? Do you care about your damn community? So I just have to go there. Do you know how many times I, the black musician, goes in Cincinnati Symphony? I'm going to bring them up again. You know where they sent me? To the worst schools. You want to know why? Because their musicians didn't want to go. What does that tell you right there? Who was speaking up for me? Can you imagine? Who was speaking? I don't want you to be that way. Zach, Mary, Colbus. Sorry. I want you to be successful. Be moral too. You can chew and walk and gum at the same time. Why can't you be a great musician and a great person? Isn't that what we were taught? What the hell happens? You get in an orchestra, not just an orchestra, you are going to be faced with a moral crisis every day of your life. I don't care what job you get. You're going to see it. There's kind of four things happening. Who are you? Who are you? Are you the man on the street, handcuffed, on the floor? Do it. You should all do it before the night falls. Get on the floor with your hands behind your back and your neck to your side for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. It is hard as hell to do. Imagine 4 almost 200-pound men on you. Okay? But you just do that. Who are you? Are you that person prone and vulnerable on the street? Are you the person with their knee on that man's neck? Are you the person watching and videotaping it all? Or are you us watching those three things? You can't be all of them, and you have to pick one. That's not just something that happened over there in that city, ironically, the city of Prince. That is happening right now, even in this conversation. It will happen every day of your life. You will see something, and you're going to have, do I just watch or do I intervene? If I intervene, I might die. Am I the person who, I say this with love and affection. The men on this call don't even know what the women on this call have probably already had to go through. And the women on this call sure as hell don't know what women of color have had to go through. I can't speak for women of color. I never would. I learned that lesson this year. You dig? So you got to pick one. Now repeat. The joy of repetition, Zach. The joy of repetition. When you see wrong happening, be that sentinel. It's a good word for you. Sentinel. Be that call. That's wrong. It's not right. Why is Daniel going out to the worst schools in Cincinnati? I want to go with him. Not one came with me. All right. Man, you all caught me today. You're going to remember. Sorry, Chris. I'm going to get through all these questions. We're going to do rapid fire now. Why aren't there more BIPOC people in orchestra, and what can we do about it? Well, I think systemic racism. What can you do about it? Okay, you can tweet. You can write to the League of American Orchestras. You can challenge your local orchestra. Be a thorn in their side. Get online, see what I'm doing, and copy it. Be vocal. Be change. Start a group that is only going to be ask your maestro. You got a great music director, a great maestro here, a great professor. Ask him, say, hey, what can we do? Ask him that question. What can I do about it? How can I help you do it? He's doing it. Help him. Right? You are in the best of hands, ladies and gentlemen. You are in the best of hands. Okay? How can we stay positive? As an artist, you have to flex two things every day: your imagination muscle and your personal morale muscle. Okay, that's on you. I'm trying to give you some inspiration. I'm there with you. I'm smiling. You see my energy? That's important. Okay, I'm trying to build you up. Do that for yourself, and it's hard. So find the music. That's what's so great about being an artist. Find the book. Find those artifacts of culture. Find the music, the books, whatever it is that you need to inspire you. I don't care if it's the Kardashians. God love them. That's candy, y'all. Watch The Voice. But be broad. Read Joyce. Read Cornell West. Read Zora Neale Hurston. Watch the Kardashians, right? Know everything. But be responsible for your own personal morale. And when you get depressed, and it's going to come, when you're really sad, and it's going to come, have the systems in place to help you, right? Your teacher will help you. If you don't have parents, your guardians will help you. Everybody is entitled that they have one person in this life that loves them. One person. And if you don't have that one person, damn it, call me. We'll get to talking and I'll love you. How about that? Okay? Fair? I see you shaking your head, Alex Bonilla. Yes, love that smile. You're helping me. Okay, let's skip to your question, Alex. An objection to school orchestras playing pieces that are written by more diverse composers is that all of the standard established music is written by white men, and there is no alternative. Not fact. Do you think that abolishing standard repertoire and replacing these pieces with modern composers is a fair solution in response to this mode of thinking? No, it's not fair. I truly want things to be fair. You know what? I love the canon. Bach, Beethoven. It's wonderful. It's important. 50% though. Why can't we say that 50% of any program for the next 50 years will be by BIPOC composers and women and LGBTQI, everybody who it's not, and then the other 50% is all Bach. That's fair. I'll take that. See what I just said, by the way? How about a 50-year commitment, 50% of the budget? That means the money. And 50% of the programming, that means the staff, the performers on the stage, everybody in the orchestra, the music director, the guest artist is going to be BIPOC people. I think that's fair. I think that's great. Don't you? You know what it is? It ain't 50%. It ain't even 10%. Did you know that? It's less than 5%. That means 95% of most of the music you've heard and studied all your life was probably not by somebody who looks like me. Just let that sink in for a minute. That didn't help you. That harmed you. I hope you understand that. All right, we're going to do the next questions in 30 seconds each because I want to leave time. But Chris, are we doing well here?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. All right, I skipped, so I want to go back. Okay, how can we stay okay, traditional orchestra repertoire is overwhelmingly white and male. So how do you think standard repertoire will and should evolve? Okay, let me give a broad answer in 30 seconds. The more we get rid of artificial boxes and definitions of music, the better. I think Duke Ellington was an important composer. Nina Simone, important composer. Beyonce is an important composer. The local turntablist is an important composer, waiting to be discovered. Just because they can't, most people in the world are not going to eat their dinner tonight with a spoon and a fork. Most musicians in the world don't read music. They're non-literate, not illiterate. You better know the difference. So the orchestra is the minority, right? So let's get rid of, well, this is a pop musician. Who the hell cares? Okay? There are plenty of ways for any musician to work with the orchestra. In fact, the orchestra should be making these invitations. Who's the greatest singer-songwriter in Ithaca? Google search it, find it. That person should be working with your symphony. That's easy. Who is the greatest black woman singer-songwriter in Ithaca right now? That's the person the orchestra should be commissioning. And all of you should know. And all of you should advocate for. And I'll say it real quickly. Do you know who's going to show up to that concert? Ithaca. You dig? And we can go on and on. So, okay. Man, I love these questions. I opened up a Pandora's box, y'all. You better be careful what you ask for. Okay, we're going there, though. How can we say traditional orchestra? What was your most memorable collaboration? Danielle Levanti. What was your most memorable collaboration with another artist and including the melding of musical styles? I hate to say this. I'm not trying to be a name dropper. You can find the video. I don't care. But it would be Stephanie Germanata. She was 16 when I met her. It was in a bar in New York City. She was a student at NYU of a friend of mine who was a professor there. She came in. I had a band, D Beyond the Mission. She sang that night. Blew the roof off the place. 100 people. She kept coming every Friday night. Underage, sneaking in. She had a flower in her hair, by the way. Really, it was really kind of plastic flower. Could sing. I gave her a few private lessons. Could sing. She wanted to be a Broadway composer. That's all. And then a few years later, I didn't even know it. She became Lady Gaga. She asked me to be a part of Poker Face on American Idol. She wanted to do it right or something like that. She wanted to make it like a New York thing. That's what she kept saying. So we did. It was very memorable. She's a really important artist. Really important artist. Adding on to Cello's question, to what extent do you think it's possible to separate art from the artist? 0. You cannot separate the art from the artist. How about that? Why would you? I don't think you should. I don't think it's possible. I mean, maybe, but I don't see it that way because I see the creative practice of any artist as it's almost like blood evidence. It's that. How would you separate one's blood from the person? Maybe that's the way I'll ask it. Can you separate your fingerprints? Well, maybe you could. You could maybe, right? But the point I'm trying to make is that I wouldn't separate it at all. I personally don't think it would be very fruitful. I think I understand where we're trying to go. Let's pick on Michael Jackson for a second. I mean, I watched all those documentaries, and I can listen to Michael Jackson music, and my son does, and he loves it. And there's incredible virtuosity happening in terms of pop, funk, in terms of it being music. As a person, I think he was very problematic, very troubled. I do think he abused young boys. Absolutely. I want to tell the truth about how I feel about Michael Jackson. If you don't agree about who he was as a man, fine, let's have that conversation. But again, we have to be able to grapple with these things, I think. Okay, I answered Alex. Irene Kim! Where's Irene Kim? Let me see if I can find you. I'm going to hunt for Irene Kim. So, okay, are you hidden, Irene Kim? Where are you, Irene? Oh, there you are. Good. You just popped up. Good to see you, Irene. All right, Irene Kim. I read an article about musicians getting into professional orchestras through connections. Yes. It happens all the time. Do you think it is possible to be fixed by having the audition? I do think it. I think that's part of it. Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think that would go a lot. Yeah. But I think that it's, it's okay to, networking, let's say it's networking in corporate America does happen all the time. And there's nothing wrong with that up to a point. But I want to make it a different kind of networking, right? I want to say that, hey, let me be composer in residence with the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra for a year. And in that year, let's have an audition and put me on the panel. Let me network. I know Irene, what do you play? Irene Kim, what instrument?
I play the flute.
I know this incredible flautist named Irene Kim. She's going to blow everybody out of the water. You see what I'm doing? So it depends on who's doing, who has the connection. Who has the connection? There's nothing wrong with the connection. It's who is empowering the connection. Yeah. All right. Should music be canceled because of the lies and views of the composer? No. No. The short answer is no. I think it has to be contextualized. Yeah. I would love to take the famous chords from the Tristan chords. You know them? I don't have a piano handy. That's a whole hip-hop track waiting to happen. let me get DJ Spooky on those Tristan chords. We don't have to cancel that concert. We could talk about how can a rabbi, DJ Spooky, and some of the black musicians in the country have a real conversation about Wagner. Yeah, okay. How can we push more artistic Tehran Zung. Tehran, can you say your name? I don't want to say it incorrectly.
Sure, it's like Terran. It's like Terran.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, Terran. How do you say your last name?
Zhang.
Terran Zhang. Nice to meet you. Now that, brother, you got to be on a stage. You got to be on the stage. What do you play?
Violin, not well.
Ah, okay. Violin. Say it again. I'm sorry.
I said violin, but not terribly.
That's okay. I'm right with you. I play about 30 instruments, not very well, jack of all trades. Taryn Zhang. Sorry, and I shouldn't say brother. And that's really, I have some transgender friends. He's like, oh, you shouldn't do that. So I apologize. Human. Taryn Zhang. How can we push more artistic directors, of influential orchestras to play more pieces by BIPOC and female composers, given that it's easy for them to slap a symphony by Mahler, Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, etc. on their program and expect to sell tickets? So the implication, which is widely held, is that if you do too much music by outside of the canon, you're going to lose audience and you lose ticket sales. Okay, so here's a fact. Fortune 500, IBM, Fortune 500 companies who 25 years ago specifically became more equitable are twice as more profitable as the companies that didn't diversify. Look up IBM diversity, equitable, and study. Okay, so that's what the symphony orchestra as a corporation in America has to understand. The Fortune 500 companies that really prioritize diversity and equitable systems within their companies are almost 45% more profitable than the companies that didn't. So what does that mean? If symphony orchestras are going to survive, if they really want to make money, diversify, be equitable. Logic dictates you'll have a broader audience. You'll have more people buying the records, more people coming to the concerts. There you go. Let's give ourselves a hand, man. I'm exhausted. You guys are killing me. But I love it. Yes, I love it. Energy. Okay, Chris, I'm with you.
Daniel, what a way to kick off this speaker series.
Thank you, sir.
I'm challenged, provoked, inspired, and I hope all of our students will take many parts of your answers and your talk and begin their Cornell journey. One of the things that I always challenge our students is that if they're worth your time, they will respond to the challenge that you put in front of them. The good professors, they will respond because they're renewed by the challenge. They're not threatened by the challenge. For me, this hour and a half that we spent together, like my blood is pumping, and like I'm thinking about all different ways we can change the way we do things, and I'm really like energized by the conversations we had. And I know of professors across Cornell who are like this. They are inspired. They're at their best when they're challenged by their students. When a student has done the homework, to be able to say, you're doing that wrong. They love that. And most Cornell professors that I know that are challenged and they are energized by that challenge, they're the ones that are worth your time. There will be ones, of course, who will be threatened by that challenge, right? So drop that course. You won't gain much from them. So pursue those professors who will be energized by your challenge, right? And second, this community that we have, this is the way you survive Cornell. And past Cornell, the world. I just want to second what Daniel said about things not getting easier. My child, my son, he didn't sleep for more than 2 hours until he was 8 months old. So at that point, I was driving up to Rochester with my chair, and we were doing like a music college night up in Rochester at Eastman. And as I'm driving up there with very little sleep, I asked my colleague who had a 13-year-old, and I said, Steve, you got to tell him it gets better. And the answer I was expecting was, yeah, they'll grow out of it, things get easier. No, that's not the answer I got. The answer I got was, well, it's different challenges. I almost drove off the road. So what Daniel said is absolutely true. Your life is not going to get easier. You think it's gonna get easier once you get that job out of college? No, things keep coming at you. Challenges will come at you that you didn't think that was possible. Work-life balance. You throw in a baby in there, it's even harder.
Or two.
Or-
Twins.
So he's absolutely right. You have to find a way to deal with things better, right? And so that balancing of your work life, that's a skill that you need to learn to survive your coming path. And so whether we're exploring an issue of racism, whether we're exploring how to play a beautiful phrase, whether we're exploring a mathematical equation, take what Daniel said to heart. You got to find a way to deal with it better. And that's how you survive. And that's how you not only survive, but thrive and change things.
Oof.
There's a lot
Man.
to chew on. And
Chris, love it, Chris. Can I take your class, man? I might be back next week, y'all. You think I'm lying? I ain't even lying.
welcome you back.
Y'all are lucky. Hey, give a hand to Maestro Kim, y'all. Seriously, show your love. Turn it into an orchestra club. Forget rehearsal. Make it forget class. Orchestra club, y'all. Right? Let's dim the lights. Get some music pumping. Sorry, that was awesome. Orchestra church. Ooh.
Daniel, I can't thank you enough for being with us and kicking this series off. So thank you so much.
Thank you, and I'll leave with this. The one thing you can do, because I was thinking about, I can't remember who asked the question, but what's one thing you can do? You can always advocate for someone else. You can advocate for someone or something else every day. I'll never do something. I'll always try to lead by example. I'll never ask you to do something I won't do myself. So I put it in the chat. Please. We talk about orchestra sometimes as something that's in the past. You know, museum, history, relic, trying to evolve. That's all fine and fair, but I'll leave you with this. If you want to see what the orchestra can look like now and into the future, please check out my really good and dear friend, Mina Choi, and her Magic Orchestra, magicmagicorchestra.com. That's a really good example of someone who came out of school, all the credentials, and started something wonderful and incredible out in San Francisco. And from the ground up, y'all, it's a whole community. And I want her work to inspire your work. Her work inspires me every day. So I want to advocate. I want to leave on that note. You can advocate for someone or something that you feel is important. Get it out in your social media. Talk to somebody about it. Mina Choi, magicmagicorchestra.com. One love, y'all. One love.
Thank you, Daniel. So
Thank you.
I know we went over a little bit, everybody, but from the bottom of my heart, I thank all of your openness and your really engaging with Daniel in this way. And I want to thank Daniel, of course, for being with us. I will send out the notes. Tiffany has been taking notes for all of us. And so I'll send you that document as well. The readings and so interviews with Rachel Barton Pine, who's our guest next week, is already in that document. So I'll send that out as well. And one of the interviews is actually with Daniel. So we have another great guest. So Daniel, thank you. And what a way to kick off this series. Thank you very much.
Hey, peace be with you and also with you. In power, y'all. In power. Love, Chadwick Boseman. All right. See you, brother.